Well, whether you are a complete beginner to aquatic plants or you've been keeping aquatic plants for a while, I have a plant that I think you should absolutely know about it, and I really do feel that you will love it. Well, welcome to the Small Scape. Today I am talking about another one of my favorite plants that I really feel that you should know about because it is absolutely a wonderful plant that doesn't require a whole lot, and anybody can have success with it, even a complete beginner. Now this plant is it's Hydrocotyle Tripartita. It's also known as Hydrocotyle Japan. Maybe you pronounce it Hydrocotyle Tripartita, however you want to call it. It's a great plant. It's related to one of my favorite pond plants that I like to put in my pond, and that's Hydrocotyle vulgaris. That's a very beautiful plant, and the leaf structure for all of these are very similar to like a four-leaf clover, but it's a very user-friendly plant. It's also related to pennywort, if you're familiar with that one. With all that being said, it is a great plant because it does not require CO2, it does not require high light. Now for the numbers, let's get those out of the way and I'll put them up for you if you want to do a screenshot. The pH, it likes anything from say 6 to 8 degrees, which is a nice kind of range. And then water temperatures anywhere from 70 to 80. We run just under 80 degrees in our fish room, and it's a happy camper in any of the tanks that I have it in. Now if you look up this plant, chances are it will say that it needs medium light. It's also known as a kind of medium intermediate sort of level plant, just for that reason that it requires a little bit more light. Yes, I kind of agree, kind of don't. In the tank that I have a plant specific light in, my 14-gallon bow front, it just grows faster. Now I have it in another one, my farm tank, where I have just a regular light on it, nothing fancy, and sometimes it even gets covered by a moss ball. It does just fine, it just doesn't grow as fast. In the 14-gallon, it does grow quite fast, but that doesn't mean that it adds a whole lot of extra maintenance, I don't feel, because it is so easy to trim, which brings me to propagation. And how do you plant this? It's such a wonderful plant because if you want to plant it, okay. If you want to attach it, sure. If you want to wedge it in between two rocks, which is what I did, sure. And that's exactly what I did in my 14-gallon bow front. All I did was I kind of wedged it in between two rocks just so it would stay. And what it likes to do is kind of creep along either the substrate, if you have it right on the substrate. A lot of people like to use it as a carpeting plant. I don't. It doesn't grow that fast for me, and that's not really a look that I have in any of my tanks. I like it creeping along the hardscaping material, the rocks. I have some nice dragonstone in that 14-gallon, and it looks really beautiful as it just creeps along. And then it's super easy to trim and replant or just put somewhere else. And that's exactly how you propagate it. You just snip off a little piece and plant it or wedge it wherever else you would like it in the tank. Now, uses for this plant, you can use it in nano tanks like I do. I don't know the smallest tank size that I would use it in. It'll just cause you maybe a little bit more maintenance as it does grow, but even using it say in a 5-gallon, something like that, or maybe even smaller, sure you could. It's got a very small little texture with those little clover shapes, really a fine texture that's very similar to like a Nubius Nana Petite, very small leaves and very fine little stems, very cute and to scale for smaller tanks. But also as it grows, it can fill up a larger tank up to say a 20-gallon, no problem, and you can even trim it into different shapes, which is super cool. You can make them into kind of more round, bushier sort of plants in your tank. You can let it creep and then have kind of more of a linear structure, which I like, creeping along maybe driftwood. That would look really cool. So you could use it in place of a Nubius Nana Petite if you like to attach those along, say, a longer, thinner piece of driftwood, like I do in one of my tanks back here in the studio. I did take a number of Nubius Nana Petite and attach them along kind of the trunk of the tree, as I like to call it. hydrocotyle would have worked just fine, and that would have been one single plant. You can also attach it with string if you want to keep it going along a very certain path in your vision for your aquascape. It's just so user-friendly, and there's so many different options and the tanks and different scapes you can use it in. My favorite plant, side note, that I love to pair it with is micro sword. In that fine little grassy texture that I like to plant kind of around rocks or driftwood to kind of look like just little grassy patches. Looks so cute. I really like the hydrocotyle to go with that because of the extra fine texture, and it just adds some nice little leafy structure right around that, or even cholla wood. It looks really cool kind of creeping along that too. So those were just some ideas of how I like to use it, but it's such a great plant. You can plant it, you can attach it, it's just really, really fun, user-friendly, and in any kind of kit tank, I think it would do just great. Really perfect for a 5 to 20 gallon, which is generally the majority of my tanks. It would look great. Lots of fish will love it. Your bettas, your shrimp, your nano fish, it'll highlight their tiny little sizes in with their tiny little leaf structure. It's just a great little plant to add to your aquatic plant repertoire. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know, have you used this plant? Do you like it? Are you curious about it? Would you try it if you haven't? And yeah, just let me know all that stuff, and I will see you in the next one.